Right now on the National Weather Desk, multi-day threat. Tornadoes, hail, and thunderstorms could strike today and through the weekend. I'll tell you when and where. Soaked strawberries. Too much rain threatens California's berry crop.
His 10-acre strawberry patch looked more like a lake.
While Texas lakes and rivers are running low and need more rain.
This is the first time we've seen the lake so low.
15 billion miles will help you understand just how far away NASA's Voyager 1 spacecraft is from Earth.
You send the message Monday morning, it gets here Tuesday morning.
See how one South Carolina beach is getting ready for sea turtle nesting season.
The nests normally don't start forming until mid-May, but some have popped up in late April.
And social media ROLOGY has new weather lessons on wildfires, hurricanes, and urban heat island.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin from WJLA in Washington, D.C. The threat of severe weather returns to the nation's midsection today and will continue through the upcoming weekend. The greatest risk this afternoon, a 3 out of 5, runs through portions of Oklahoma and North Texas, with another section in western Kansas. Oklahoma City and Abilene are under a slight risk for tornadoes, hail, and damaging winds. Tomorrow, the greatest risk moves north, including Kansas City and Omaha. The threat continues across the plains through the weekend. Be sure to stay weather alert should any storms develop. And while we are 37 days away from the official start of hurricane season, there's already been a very weak disturbance in the eastern Atlantic. The National Hurricane Center originally had a little bit of concern. However, the forecast evolved and it's no longer a threat. As Florida meteorologist Lauren Oleski shows us, disturbances often form well before June 1st.
We have in the past several seasons seen storms, or I should say disturbances, before the official start date of hurricane season, which is on June 1st. Last year, we had an outlook issued on May 21st. We actually had an outlook issued last season in January, but I'm looking at the months that are actually closer to the start of hurricane season, so April and May. We had a May disturbance in 2022. In 2021, our first was in April, and then in 2020, our first disturbance was also in May. So not uncommon to see, but again, the one that's out there right now, we don't need to be concerned with. First name on our list for this year is Alberto, and then Beryl, followed by Chris. The official start date is June 1st. I don't see anything threatening us for the next few weeks. Again, we'll see what happens when the season actually begins.
And of course, we'll keep an eye on it for you. The NFL holds its annual draft tonight in Detroit. I'll leave the pick predictions to our experts so our focus can stay on the weather. This is a shot of Motor City's Campus Martius Park, where the draft is being held outdoors. The weather looks great today with mostly sunny skies and a high in the middle 50s. Farmington and West Bloomfield will see temperatures that will be equally as nice. The same for Ann Arbor. When the first pick is selected shortly after 8 o'clock, it should be in the lower 50s. And later on this evening, temperatures are going to dip into the chilly 40s. The 2024 wildfire season is quickly approaching, and at least one forecast expects the number of wildfires this year to be a little bit below average. Remember the smoke from Canadian wildfires that shrouded many U.S. cities last year? AccuWeather expects there to be fewer fires in the United States this season, but above average north of the border. Fires in Canada are not expected to approach last year's record-shattering season. The Texas Panhandle and northern Great Lakes are considered regions with a very high risk for wildfires this season. Turning to Iowa, where they had a slight break from windy conditions yesterday. So what causes high winds? Cedar Rapids meteorologist Garrett Haidt has more.
Throughout the middle half this week, we finally felt a slight break from those winds here in eastern Iowa, but it certainly has been rather windy here over the last few weeks, with a lot of these average wind gusts here since about mid-March, sitting at around about 35 miles per hour. But the excessive winds actually isn't too abnormal. Right around March to April is where we usually expect some of the highest winds of the year before things start to taper down for the summer, and then peaking once again as we then head into the fall. So why is this? Well, firstly, winds are largely driven by differences in atmospheric pressure, which is in turn driven by temperature changes. And of course, the greater the difference between these two, the stronger the winds will end up being. So looking at overall average temperatures across the lower United States from north to south, we see temperature differences, at least here in January, just shy of 50 degrees, which is a fairly big difference. So why isn't January the windiest month we have? Well, another factor that can be attributed here is the jet stream and where it's at. Of course, that can help bump up those surface winds, by a little bit depending on its location. So as we head then into the springtime, of course, we gradually see that temperature difference start to fall just a little bit more. But as we head into March and April, we start to see that jet stream creeping just a little bit further off towards the north before eventually pushing further off, well off towards the north for the summertime. And then eventually we'll be returning back towards our area as we head into November and eventually receding much further south as we do head into the later half of the winter.
It's been a record-breaking month of weather in West Virginia. Meteorologist Brandon Stover looks at the numbers and explains the robust weather maker that's likely responsible for it.
Well, a historic storm line swept through West Virginia earlier this month. So far, 10 tornadoes have been confirmed from April 2nd here in the Mountain State. We only average 2 per year. 17 tornadoes confirmed in our region, including parts of Kentucky and Ohio. The previous record in an entire year for the Charleston National Weather Service office was 11 back in 1980. This looks to have been a derecho, a long-lived line of damaging thunderstorm winds that extends at least 240 miles. At one point, there were well over 100,000 people in West Virginia without power. Despite arriving in the morning, gusts still exceeded 80 to 100 miles per hour along sections of this line. This video showing intense winds in cross lanes taken by Ryan Ware. Derechos typically occur in the summer months, but this isn't our first run-in with one in early spring. Back on April 9th, 1991, an intense derecho hit West Virginia hard after traveling from Arkansas to eastern Pennsylvania in about 12 hours. 2 people lost their lives here and 86 people were injured. This just proves if conditions are right, severe weather can happen any place, anytime.
Now we have 2 very different stories about rain, one where there's been way too much, the other not nearly enough. We start in Fresno, California, where the strawberry supply is suffering under soaking spring rain. Rich Rodriguez has more.
Fresno County grower Seong Hulong says his strawberry crop is still drying out from all the rain this spring. Recently, his 10-acre strawberry patch looked more like a lake. Too much water, he says, is not welcome.
No, because when the water to flow like that one, the root, they come and block, they not make the production no more.
Hulong says the flooding impacted 4 acres of his strawberries. That's nearly half of his farm. His plants grow in clay-like soil.
When the heavy soil, and the water stay long.
He's been farming this land since 2005 and has been flooded before. Hulong is still producing quality produce for his fruit stand. His strawberries are huge. While his crop will be shorter this year, he says his price won't fluctuate.
The market go out, I not go out. The market go low, I not go low. I make a standard for my customer.
Plants on the lower end of his farm, where most of the flooding occurred, won't be producing many strawberries for sale. Still, Hulong believes he'll be picking strawberries until the end of June.
In Texas, lake and river levels remain below normal despite recent rainfall. A reservoir in San Antonio is less than 60% full, the lowest mark since it opened 60 years ago. Meteorologist Joe DiCarlo has more.
We've only been here 5 years, going on 5 years, but this is the first time we've seen the lake so low.
Diana Schmidt is a California transplant that now calls New Braunfels home. She and her family love taking in the beauty of Canyon Lake as much as they can.
It's just gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful.
But as drought conditions have taken over in recent years, the lake continues to drop, and the Schmidts had to rethink their lake plans.
When we first moved out here, we had a boat. And then when we started seeing all the rocks and how low the lake was going, we sold our boat.
In fact, only 2 of 23 boat ramps around Canyon Lake are open. This is hurting the fun on the water, but not the businesses just up the road.
It really hasn't affected us at all.
General Manager Fritzy Crow attributes their success to the surrounding area.
Great community, a great place. We're so much fun.
So although the lake is low, spirits are still high.
Kenya is experiencing some of its worst flooding in years. At least 30 are dead, 40,000 forced from homes. Days of rain turned streets into rivers. Ropes were used to guide victims to safety. Torrential rain, driven by what's known as the Indian El Nino, is similar to the Pacific weather phenomenon. Coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll head to South Carolina to see how officials are preparing for the upcoming sea turtle nesting season.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have a seasonably cool air mass moving in this morning. You might have noticed that stepping outside. Temperatures this afternoon, they're going to struggle to get out of the 50s. We have a nice clear sky out there. Unlimited sun should be expected this afternoon. That's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the temperatures, they're going to stay on the cool side right into Friday. If anything, temperatures are a few degrees warmer on Friday. Most towns will be in the 50s. Some spots may nudge 60 degrees. Saturday, we'll have mostly sunny skies.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Only a stray shower possible on Thursday, and that is going to be way to the south side of the Bay Area here. And we're talking about it staying very dry all the way through the next several days. Our temperatures have taken a dive, though. We have dropped down to the 60s across the area for highs. It will be in the 40s for lows each night with no frost really expected. We will not warm up until we get a little bit closer towards the end of the weekend on Sunday.
Good Thursday morning. Meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg with a look at your southeast regional forecast for this Thursday. We will be seeing clouds and showers moving out of Kansas into northern sections of Arkansas, eventually western Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and perhaps northern Alabama later on in the day. But with high pressure firmly entrenched over the Carolinas into Florida, nothing but sunshine for that part of the southeast. High temperatures in the 70s from Atlanta north, 80s areas further south through the Sunshine State.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Some cool sightings in Rhode Island from the sky to the water, like several photos of double rainbows in the Providence area Wednesday. These jellyfish spotted while feeding on baby shrimp near Allen's Harbor. And if this baby owl looks a little roughed up, it was displaced by storms in Tennessee, but now it's safe.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
For the first time in 5 months, Voyager 1 spacecraft is sending data back to NASA, and that's no small feat. Voyager launched over 46 years ago on September 5th, 1977. It's now in interstellar space, more than 15 billion with a B miles away from Earth. If you have a hard time comprehending just how far away that is, meteorologist Marshall McPeak puts the distance into perspective.
Imagine this ball is the sun. Hang on to that. So this is a little grain of salt. That one little grain of salt right there.
Not a grain of rice, a grain of salt.
Right?
Okay.
That is the size of the Earth.
Okay.
But to get the right distance away from it, I'm going to walk over here. This is about 30 feet. So this little grain of salt now from the ball is 93 million miles away.
Okay.
And that heats our planet.
It seems so much closer.
It does, doesn't it? Now, at the same time, if we were to look at where Voyager is, that is going to be way out here, almost to the Dublin Road water plant. No. Yes. So here's a map. Take a look at this. It's about 3/4 of a mile. So that little grain of salt is 3/4 of a mile away from the ball. And that is how far away Voyager would be, sort of somewhat in scale. Now, how far does that mean? Well, think of it this way. So here's the Earth, here's the sun. We're not at scale at the moment, but 93 million miles away. If you send a text message from the Earth to the sun, it'll take about 8 minutes to get there. Another 8 minutes to get back. So 16 total. If you send a message to Voyager all the way out here at 15 billion miles away, it's 22.5 hours each way. So you send the message Monday morning, it gets here Tuesday morning. It sends a message back that arrives Wednesday morning. Imagine sending text messages that way. Talk about frustrating. But that's what NASA is doing to try to communicate with Voyager.
Wow. Sea turtle nesting season is off to an early start in South Carolina. Folly Beach, one of the most popular locations for females to dig their nests, is undergoing a refurbishment project that could impact the nesting season. Tessa Spencer has more.
This is the earliest. Normally we start May 1st.
Folly Beach is filled with plenty of life. People surfing, birds flocking, and dog prints on the sand. But no sign of turtle nests yet.
But this year, because of the renourishment, we've been asked to start earlier in case there are some early nesters on the beach.
The Folly Beach Turtle Watch program is doing their morning sweeps again, and this time they're working at night too, to help prevent renourishment crews from damaging any loggerhead nests.
What they do is hire night monitors, which are our permitted volunteers, to monitor their operational site at night from 8:30 p.m. until 6:30 in the morning.
The nests normally don't start forming until mid-May, but some have popped up in late April.
With warmer temperatures and chilly evenings, spending time around an evening campfire can be fun, but it's also getting into wildfire season when those campfires can pose a real risk. Meteorologist Violet Skybor has more.
So when you are going to be out having a campfire, you always want to use caution. But when weather conditions are prime for the threat of wildfires, a wildfire danger level report will be issued, and that ranges anywhere from low to extreme. And when these are issued, again, use caution when you have campfires, no unnecessary burning of brush and no fireworks. And this is during the summertime. Weather conditions for wildfires to develop includes low relative humidity, a dry ground with dry brush, and strong winds to really whip up the fire and carry it away from wherever you're starting to burn. Some other campfire safety tips: if you are going to be out burning frequently this summer, make sure to only burn in designated fire pits. This includes in your backyard, at camps, parks, anywhere where you're going to have a fire on the ground. Make sure it's in a contained area surrounded by stones, bricks, and not just out in the open where any brush or anything could carry it away. Also, remember to keep flammable objects far away from the fire. That includes your extra firewood or any other charcoal, lighter fluid, anything like that that could pick up the flames or embers. Keep water nearby and make sure that the fire is fully extinguished when you're all done with it.
Time for our social media ROLOGY segment. This is when members from our team of 200 meteorologists share weather lessons on their social media platforms. We start with a look at heat islands from Audrey Meyer in Reno, Nevada.
Urban heat islands happen when cities have a higher temperature than their surrounding rural areas. And this is really fitting that Reno has been selected because last year we were selected as one of the fastest warming cities across the U.S. And believe it or not, heat is actually the #1 weather-related cause of death across the country. So if you live in any one of these cities like Santa Fe, New Mexico, or Fort Wayne, Indiana with a red dot and you want to volunteer, you'll be asked to put a temperature sensor on your car or on your bike and drive around specified routes. And this campaign is expected to start this summer.
Well, it was the wettest start to spring on record here in Portland, Maine, and across much of northern New England. Seems like really the last year has just been incessantly wet. And once again here on this late April day, raining here in Maine. Even with all of the rain that we've seen this spring, fire danger still very high here in northern New England. Let's head into the woods and find out why. Living in the very wet eastern United States, fire danger isn't something we really think about a lot. And we're pretty protected here in New England for 3 of our 4 seasons. In the summer and the fall, lots of green vegetation on the ground that has water in it, of course, and that keeps us from burning. Also in the winter, we've got snowpack on the ground that keeps the fire danger low. In spring, it's a different story. All of this dead leaf material, dead dry branches, even if it's been very wet, can dry out very, very quickly after the snow, of course, has melted away and can lead to very high fire danger. So that's why you've got to use extra caution when you're burning in northern New England in the spring, especially on a windy day.
It's time to talk about the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. Now, hurricane season starts on June 1st and lasts all the way through November 30th. Now that we are getting close to the start of the season, outlooks are beginning to be put out, and they are pretty high. And before we start, an average hurricane season has 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes, meaning Category 3 or higher. And the Colorado State University has their highest forecast yet. They're looking at 23 named storms, 11 hurricanes, and 5 major hurricanes. And there are 2 reasons why we may see a more active hurricane season than normal. And it's thanks to warmer sea surface temperatures as well as the transition from El Nino to La Nina by the end of the summer.
And as we head to break, we head to Montana, where the state bird is the western meadowlark and bitterroot is the state flower. Can you guess the state animal? It's the grizzly bear.
Well, a very good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Quiet across the Great Lakes, but we got some strong thunderstorms expected across portions of the plains, including Kansas, for the day today. These thunderstorms continue drifting their way a little bit more to the east for Friday. And taking a look at Saturday, still a chance for some scattered thunderstorms. Some of these storms could become strong to severe, so if you are traveling across the plains, make sure to take any warnings serious over the next few days.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. It's not a bad morning across the region. We do have a little bit of some rain up in Oklahoma City, back over to Little Rock. Everybody else kind of warm and humid underneath all the cloud cover. We're going to be watching this area for significant hail later today. There could be some stronger storms cutting across up north into Arkansas. Otherwise, another warm and humid afternoon as temperatures rise a little bit above the normal. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Thursday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, we're finally starting to cool off again in parts of the desert, including out of Phoenix, a high of just 83 today. So falling off of those triple digits from earlier this week, aided in part by this couple of disturbances that are starting to drop down from the Pacific Northwest. You see this big disturbance pushing out of the eastern seaboard and another one pushing into the PNW later today. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
In Arkansas, warmer weather means snakes are on the move. State wildlife experts say there's no need to fear. It's because most snakes are scared of humans and will usually leave you alone as long as you leave them alone. According to the University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture, there are 39 species of native snakes in Arkansas, and only 6 of them are venomous. Doesn't make me feel any better about it. Snakes are also playing a huge role in the ecosystem, serving as both predator and prey, eating rodents, insects, and fish.
As a human species, we kind of have this fear of snakes, but there is far more to be concerned about other critters that are coming out right now, like ticks and mosquitoes that carry these vector-borne diseases like Zika and West Nile and alpha-gal and Lyme and things like that cause far more harm to humans every year than snake bites do.
If you're looking for more great social media content, be sure to check us out on social media. You can find us on your favorite social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk or scan the QR code on the bottom left corner of your screen. Thank you so much for looking in this morning. I'm glad you were able to join me. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin from WJLA in Washington, D.C. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Good day.